In 2019, when I first started obsessing over mechanical keyboards, I came across the GMK Dots keycaps and I was fascinated by it. It looked really good and I wanted to buy it. But on the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself, are these keycaps just for show? Or can people actually type on a keyboard with these keycaps? Back then, I still haven't learned the art of touch typing, so the idea of typing on a keyboard without any printed labels sounded like a complete stretch to me. Well, 3 years have since passed, and let's take a look at how my obsession with blank keycaps helped me learn touch typing. I've been typing on this HHKB keyboard here paired with a set of blank keycaps for a little over a year now, and I must admit that my choice for typing on blank keycaps is heavily weighted towards the aesthetics of it. Like, look at this keyboard on my desk here. It looks so good and it fits perfectly to the minimalist vibe that I'm going for. My experience with typing on blanks is for the most part pretty positive, and really the only time that I wish that I had my printed keycaps back was when I'm organizing my finances on my budgeting spreadsheet, or when I get the dreaded incorrect password error which makes me second guess myself whether I'm correctly remembering where all the keys are at, given that every key looks the same. But those typos aren't common as my life doesn't revolve around crunching numbers on the spreadsheet, and I do use a password manager for most of my passwords. Looking back, I feel that the HHKB was the perfect keyboard to kickstart my journey of typing on blank keycaps, and that's in large part due to its 60% size, meaning that there are fewer keys for me to learn/remember. As you might have guessed already, my motivation for learning touch typing was fueled primarily by my desire to have a keyboard with blank keycaps, and in addition to the practical learning that I did while I was coding at work and writing scripts for this YouTube channel, I also used 2 other websites for more formal learning on how to touch type. I use typingclub.com for more structured learning about touch typing, as the lessons are repetitive by design to help develop my muscle memory. And I use keyboard.com for more leisurely typing practices when I was bored and I was trying to kill time. So how it all started was that I went through the first 50 or so lessons on typingclub.com with my HHKB that had the printed keycaps. Those lessons kickstarted my muscle memory for the different zones of keys that each of my fingers were kind of responsible for. Then as I got more comfortable, I started swapping out a few printed keys for some blanks. I started with the keys on the home row and slowly expanded to other parts of the keyboard. And by the 2-month mark, I had all the keys except for the number row switched out for blank keycaps, and that's because I really had a hard time coordinating my fingers to touch type on the number/symbol row, because other than my index fingers, my other fingers were just not used to stretching that far, and that made me resist swapping out the number row for blank keycaps for the longest time. But at some point, I realized that no amount of practice would make me more comfortable touch typing on the number row. So what I did was I just went ahead and swapped out the remaining keys for blank keycaps. Doing that ended up causing a lot of ridiculous typos whilst I was coding, but it was arguably a more effective learning method than the lessons on typingclub.com. In total, it took me about 6 months to get to the point where I was comfortable touch typing with a full set of blank keycaps, and admittedly, during the first 6 months, I always kept the browser tab open with the HHKB layout so that I can easily check where certain keys were at in relation to the keyboard layout. So that's it. That's the story of how I learned touch typing. It was by no means an easy thing to do. Early on, I was typing so slowly and making so many silly typos that I was seriously thinking of giving up on this idea of learning touch typing. It was that frustrating. And adding to that, a lot of times my fingers were feeling cramped after short typing sessions, as I wasn't used to using all my fingers in that manner, and in several instances I actually went back to typing with hunting and packing to relieve my fingers from those cramps. But at the end of the day, I think it was worth it. Every now and then I do catch myself just staring at the blank keycaps whilst I'm typing, even though there is just nothing or no labels on the keys themselves, because I'm thinking to myself, like, this is so magical that I'm able to just type on the keys without any printed labels on them. Now I'm still touch typing at the same 80 words per minute speed that I had whilst I was typing using the hunt and pack technique. So touch typing didn't improve my typing speed any bit at all. But what it did help me is to reduce my reliance on my index fingers whilst typing. In the past, whilst I was typing really fast using the hunt and pack technique, it really felt like I was slamming my index fingers into the keys whenever I'm typing fast. But yeah, this is just my first foray into the world of typing on blank keycaps, and learning touch typing felt like a complete bonus that came along with this blank keycaps. I've actually been eyeing to try out the Ergodox or Moonlander split keyboard for a while now, both of which feature blank keycaps for extra customization. So now that I have some experience typing on blank keycaps, I feel that I'm finally qualified to buy that keyboard, but that's a topic for a future video. In the meantime, check out my HHKB review from earlier this year where I go through my thoughts about the HHKB Hybrid Type S keyboard that I featured a lot in this video. Alright, I hope to see you very soon in the next video.